there! Welcome to the Producer Marketplace Spring Catalog Refresh Series. I'm Kitty, the User Education Coordinator for Cultivate Local Food Connections and the voice of many videos for Cultivate in the Iowa Food Co-op, where I teach and empower a community of producers, consumers, and Food Hub staff in how to best utilize the software and resources available to them. So if you've been following along with this class, you've set up your producer profile, you've written the best bio that you can, and you've taken some really good photographs of your products. So now we're going to go through and talk about how to update and manage your catalog. This is also a great video to watch if you are new to the Food Hub in general, or if you need a refresher in how to update and manage these catalog pages. So let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to do is open that Producer Catalog tab after you log in, and then go to the Producer Catalog. And here you can see all the products that you've ever offered, and to add a new product, click Add Product. Type in your product name. Now, it's important to keep producer names clear and concise. You don't need to add variety descriptors, such as size or quantity, to your product names. And we'll go over how to add that below when we get to the variety functions. You are limited by the number of characters you can use, and this is because the label can only show so many letters or numbers, so keep that in mind. So in this case, the product is a gluten-free soft sandwich bread. So that's what I'm going to call it, and we're going to move on to the product description. This is where you have a little more room to talk about your product, include an appealing description, but keep in mind that most people are reading the description because they are looking for very specific information about how the product is grown, processed, or made. So if you're growing produce, this would be a good place to talk about organic growing practices, what pest control you use. If you're someone selling prepared food, so in this case it's a loaf of bread, you should also use this space to list your ingredients. So let me just put all that in real quick and come back when we're ready to go to the next step. There we go. So you can see that I have a short product description as well as the ingredients for this product put in. Moving on to product categories, which is this drop-down menu here. Make sure that you're selecting the correct product category. And in this case, the item is a baked good, but because it's specifically a gluten-free baked good, that's what I'm going to choose. And next we'll choose storage options. Consider carefully if your product needs to be frozen or refrigerated, or if it's shelf stable. So in this case, this product needs to be refrigerated, so I'm going to select refrigerator, not dairy or eggs. You can ignore this section about fees. You don't have access to this as a producer. It just shows up for me because I'm doing this on our test server, and we can move on to product attributes. Again, consider these carefully and only check what's applicable. In this case, my workplace is certified gluten-free, so we'll check that. There are no self-declared practices applicable, but these are the attributes you would check if your products don't have any certifications, but meet the standards listed there. Read the information in this other section carefully. It only applies to select categories. So in this case, since the product I'm listing is a baked good, I can check this gluten-free box. Use your best judgment when applying categories. For instance, it doesn't really make sense to sort produce into the vegan category since that's automatically understood in most cases. And now we can move on to varieties. Varieties are a very useful function that provides a well-organized experience for everyone involved and also saves you time by eliminating the need for duplicate listings. So it's important to use this function correctly. And at this stage, you'll establish your first variety, and I'll show you how to add more after the listing has been updated. Listing status. This determines if and how a product is available to consumers. Listed for web sale means that the product is available via the 2-week shopping cycle. Listed for on-site means it's available for sale on the on-site shopping area that's open to the public. There is a separate workflow you should follow to make sure your product is available on-site, and refer to the Info for Selling On-Site Product section of the Producer Handbook. In this case, I only want the product available online, so I'll check that box. If for any reason you want to unlist your product, you can come back and just uncheck these boxes here. Ignore this section about inventory management. This would be important if you were selling on-site and will be dealt with as part of that process if you decide to sell that way. On to variety properties. Here's where you'll describe specific varieties that you offer for each product. For some things, you may only have one variety, but the software shows you flexibility in this way. For example, because this is bread, we'll offer it 2 ways, sliced and unsliced. So for this first variety, I'll put in unsliced for the variety, and then I'll go back and show you how I add a sliced variety in a moment. The software offers you the ability to put in an existing UPC if you already have one for your product. If you do have a UPC available, we encourage you to use this function, providing it meets our criteria, which is that you must enter the entire UPC number and the UPC must be unique to that product, including flavor, size, and variety. If one UPC is used for multiple variations of a product or multiple products, it won't work and you have to use the QR code stickers that the software provides. In this case, my products don't have a UPC, so I'll skip this section. In some cases, especially with products like meat, there might be a slight variance in weight from item to item. If that's the case, check this box and then follow the prompts that show up to put in your product information. But in this case, this item isn't priced by weight, it's priced by loaf, so I'll skip over that. Variety size is how much the consumer receives when they buy the item. For instance, honey might be sold in 8-ounce jars or potatoes sold in 3-pound bags. And in this case, this item is sold in 1 loaf units. In the past, the software would require entirely separate listings for these distinct varieties, and now it's easy to keep your catalog neat and tidy, which is beneficial both to you and to consumers to be able to shop all varieties of a single item from a single listing. Here's where you'll add the price. The software allows you to establish a price for the upcoming cycle where this product will be available, and then the cycle following. If you want to run a sale next cycle, in this case, if you want to run a sale next cycle, you would put in that next cycle price in the second box. In this case, I want the price to stay the same, so I'll put $8 in both fields. Note, you cannot increase prices when the cart is open or when the producer drop-off window is open. During that time, you can update the price for the next cycle, however. So if you find that you might have more to sell and you want to run a sale, or if you know for some reason that your costs may be going up, you can go ahead and update that next cycle price then as well for kind of the opposite reason if you need to increase the price. And the window of time intended for catalog updates is Thursday afternoon to Sunday afternoon before the cart opens. If an increase in price occurs for a product that you also sell on site, you do need to email the Food Hub so they can change the on-site pricing as well. And again, a lot of that is covered in the section in the producer handbook about how to sell items on site using this particular software. This is your available inventory, how much consumers will be able to buy. Put in the quantity that you know you'll be able to reasonably fulfill. Don't overpromise and then have to let people know that the item is out of stock. If something happens during the course of the shopping cycle, for example, one cycle we had a producer's entire inventory of peaches get destroyed in a hailstorm, there are procedures in place to notify consumers and ensure that they aren't charged. It's just a good idea to play it safe with those numbers if you know. For this instance, I know that I have 6 loaves of unsliced gluten-free sandwich bread, so that's what I'll put here. If something happened, like if I opened a package and discovered it had gone moldy or something, and someone had bought it, obviously I would notify that customer about that on a case-by-case basis. Again, I'm not going to offer this inventory for on-site sale, but if I did, this is where I'd put the price in this case. In my case, it would be about the same as the web sale price. And again, you have complete control over that pricing structure. Lastly, we're going to scroll back up and add a photo. The important thing here is that the photo meets this size restriction, and you can check a photo's size by hovering over it. Resizing instructions are available in the FAQ section of the producer handbook, and we talked about them a little bit in the previous video in this series about producing images specifically for the catalog. If the size is incorrect, the software won't let you advance, and we're going to go back down to the bottom and hit save. So now there's a base listing in your producer catalog, and you can go back in and add varieties for different sizes, flavors, etc. You can see an example of different varieties in my other listings that I've already done. For example, Farmer John's apple cider donut holes come in units of 6, but they come in a variety of flavors. You can do plain and cinnamon sugar, and so that allows people to select what they want to buy. You could also offer a mix as its own variety listing, and you can see that Sister Bertha's shaker-style squash rolls come in a variety of quantity, so ranging from a single roll to a half dozen to a baker's dozen. And so if you have a product like this sandwich bread that you have an established base variety for, but you want to add a new variety, you can click Add Variety here. And you can see this brings up essentially an abbreviated version of the page that we were just on. Same procedure, list the product for web sale, skip inventory management, and then enter the variety properties. In this case, we're going to add a sliced variety. Again, put in the UPC code if it's applicable, put in the weight range if applicable, add in the variety size, this is still just 1 loaf, put in your price and available quantity, and save. And now a new variety will show up in your catalog, and you can repeat this process as many times as you need to. And if you're having difficulty with any of these processes, feel free to consult the producer's handbook on the website or email staff. Thank you for watching this installment of the Producer Marketplace Spring Catalog Refresh. Watch the next episode in this series, or check out some of the other producer resources linked in the video description, and check out cultivatefoodconnections.org.